Hi, I'm Richard, and today we're going to do a quick presentation on how to learn a foreign language. I'm going to take you through 2 myths and 9 steps and 7 quick wins that I've used to learn languages myself. To learn Japanese, to teach NASA science projects, to talk in national NHK TV, and also to get a first-class honors degree in physics from a French university. My family, we also speak several languages in daily life here, and we live in yet another country with another language. And this has enabled me to travel all around the world and do presentations and help teachers and students. And today, hopefully help you a little bit too. So here we go. Oh yes, my TED Talk there as well. We're going to talk about 2 myths, 9 steps and 7 quick wins. So let's look at 2 language myths that might be holding you back a little bit. And the first one of these is that some people say, you have to be in the country to learn. And 100 years ago, yeah, definitely. It helps a little bit if you're in the country, but it doesn't really make the big difference. Because there are so many people who live in, say, Japan or Italy or Korea or places, and they've never learned the language at all. And the way to think about it these days is that home is where your phone is. You have in your pocket the most powerful tool we've got that can have what most people do in their daily lives is on their phone. They're talking to their friends, they're reading books, they're watching movies, they're listening to music. And you can do all of that from any country in any language thanks to your phone. So use the power. You paid a lot of money for it. Use the power of your phone so anybody can learn from anywhere. The next myth that some people have is, some people say that, some people just can't learn languages. It's okay for you, Richard, blah, blah, blah. But when I was a kid, I only spoke English. I've only learnt my other languages as an adult, okay? And thing is, humans are actually built for learning new languages, new words. Just think of all the coronavirus words that we've learnt in the last few years, yeah? Things like social distancing and things. So humans are actually designed for learning new words. And yeah, if you start when you're 0, it's easier to learn the pronunciation. Kids have more time or free time, so it's a little bit easier for them. But as an adult, the key thing is anybody can learn. And don't use it as an excuse to be lazy, like our good friend here. So the new beliefs that we want to have are, you can learn a language from anywhere, because you can, I've done it. And the second one is that anybody, including you, anybody, if you're human, you can learn foreign languages. Is that okay? So, how do we do it? So I've got 9 steps here, and these are the steps that I use when I'm looking at tackling a new language and wanting to learn it. And the first one is to look at the time span. And, 10 minutes a day is sort of the minimum you're going to need to learn a language. If you could do an hour per day, awesome. You're going to start doing a lot more stuff. The key is to do it every single day. You've got to do it every day. So, one mini myth that some people believe is they think that it takes years to learn a language. Especially, a lot of language schools, they want to keep you coming for years and years so they get more money out of you, yeah? But I want you to change the thinking on that. Don't think in terms of years. Instead, I want you to be thinking in terms of hours and how many hours you're going to spend on the language. So Michael Gladwell talks about in his book, he says, if you want to learn something, in 100 hours, you'll get okay. In 1,000 hours, you'll get good, like really good at it. And in 10,000 hours, you'll be professional, whatever it is you're doing. So if you're looking at doing an hour per day and you do 100 hours to get okay, it's going to take you 3 to 4 months. Not bad. If you're doing 1,000 hours, it's going to take you 3 years. If you want to get 10,000 hours, totally Nobel Prize winning level, that's going to be 30 years. So maybe you want to up it a bit. Now, just imagine, I don't want you to do this, but just imagine if you did 10 hours a day. 10 hours a day in 100 hours, 10 days, you get an okay level, A1, A2 level. In 1,000 hours, in 3 months, you get a really good level. Yeah. So this is where we get this idea of becoming fluent in 3 months. This is where it comes from. It means if you do 10 hours a day, you get fluent in 3 months. And then totally professional level in 3 years. So you're thinking about special forces and spies and people like that. That's how they do it. Yeah. But if you come down to an hour per day, you're going to get some quite good results. Okay. The key is the trap to avoid is the language school trap of once per week. Sometimes people think they're going to learn a language in once per week. It doesn't work at all. Because if you do 1 hour per week, 100 hours to get to an okay level is going to take you 2 years. Nobody's got the patience for that anymore. To get really good is 1,000 hours. 20 years is going to take you. And to get world-class level, it's going to take you 200 years. Now, I ain't got 200 years. I don't know about you, but we might live to be a long time. So an hour per day is a much better way of doing it. And if you can invest that time, you're going to get some really great results. And the more you can do, the better. The key is every day. You have to start learning and putting the effort in each day. Is that okay? So the next thing to think about is this idea of speaking first. So humans have been speaking languages for a few 100,000 years. We've only been writing languages for the last 5,000 years. So it's a very small percentage of time. And languages are human languages are primarily spoken ones. And speaking is where you want to put the biggest emphasis of your time. So speaking first. Now, some people say, well, what about listening? And you go, okay, well, yeah, listening first, because the thing about listening is it's easy. So listening is a passive way of learning. So you almost get it for free. So for listening, you download all the apps, follow social media accounts of people in your target language doing stuff that you're interested in. You watch Netflix in a language, Peppa Pig, podcasts, YouTube, whatever it is, and get all that listening in. But the improvement comes from speaking. And this is the distinction between active learning and passive learning. So listening is very passive. You can sit there for an hour, listen to YouTube, and you get it all in. But you tend not to improve very much. But when you go to speak, that's when you get terrified and you go, and your brain starts thinking, blimey, quick, how do we do this? Let's put a sentence together, just anything. Bah! That's where you start improving. The improvements come with speaking. And it's just like with exams, yeah? A lot of studies show that if people just read the books for exams and they just read it passively, they don't tend to do very well on the exams. But if you close the book and then try to teach it to someone else or even write it down to someone else, then that's active learning and you actively remember it longer. And with languages, we said, speaking becomes way before writing. So you want to be speaking as much as you can because that's where your improvement comes from. One ninja tip is, that listening gives you grammar for free. Because when you do lots of listening, if you hear a structure in lots of different ways, like here and here and here and here, the human brain is designed to look for patterns. And you will start seeing patterns in the language. And that's how you learn grammar. You don't need to do any grammar rules if you do lots of listening. But the actual main strength where you're improving comes from speaking. And of course, beware of textbooks. This is the classic thing. Textbooks, they're flat, they're on a piece of paper, not interactive. And also, if you do reading first, it kills your pronunciation and your fluency. So always do speaking first. When you're great at speaking, then you can do reading, and then finally, writing. Remember how long humans have been writing for compared with speaking. So speaking first, okay? And the next tip is to go for the most popular words. So, if you want to start, say if you're learning English, and in English, 171,000 words in the Oxford Dictionary. If you want to learn all those, it's going to take you quite a while, longer than the hour per day. So we need to be a bit more effective in looking at which words we learn. So for example, Churchill only had a vocabulary of about 60,000 words. Nobel Prize in Literature, famous speeches, but he only had less than half the words in the dictionary, yeah? And if you look at an average person, they only know 30,000 words, yeah? That's all we use in our native languages each day, around 30,000 words. So you can see we've dropped the workload down a lot, going from 171,000 to 60 to 30. Now, if you look at movies and TV, they're down to 3,000 words because, a lot of movies and TV, they dumb things down for a mass audience. So 3,000 words, you can understand most of movies and TVs. So this is getting interesting now for your target language. You only have to learn 3,000 words now. Would you like to go a bit further? Well, if you look at spoken language, 75% of spoken language comes from around 800 words. So we're down from 3,000 to 800. You only have to learn 800 words, which is pretty cool. But even better than that, 50% of most spoken language comes from around 100 words. So you learn 100 words and the right 100 words in your target language, and you've got 50%, which is pretty cool. Now, in English, you can find these on Wikipedia, and you see them here. And the words like and of and not and would and things like that, you learn them from learning sentences. You always speak in sentences, and short, little popular sentences, you get the words. And whatever target language you're going for, do a search, find the top 100 words, and you get 50% of the language covered. Is that okay? Cool. Let's move on to a few more. And the next one is to make a Genki list. Whenever you learn new words that are not on the top 100, that somebody says to you, or you read in a book, or you see on TV, or something that sounds cool, write it down. Make a list. We call them Genki lists. And then when you get a few minutes spare on the train, you just go back through them and you say, oh, that's that word and that word and that word. And because you wrote them down at a time you learned them from something cool, you have this emotional connection to them. So whenever I will learn words in Japanese like natsukashi or things like that, I can remember the first person who taught me that. When I'm looking back and thinking about some of the French words on my French list, like shampoing for and I kept pronouncing it shampooing, and people were laughing at me. You learn these words because they've got an emotional context to them. So write everything down and make lists and test yourself on them. If you're going for pro level, get an app like Anki or something like that, which lets you then go through the forgetting curve and spaced repetition, which is really cool. Also as well, if you've got a teacher, is to journal every day. Ideally, you do it with video, but you can also write it down as well if you're doing writing, but mainly speaking, and get your teacher to check your journal every day. And the advantage of getting your teacher to check your journal is that the language is yours. It relates to your personal life, so it becomes a lot easier to remember. And if you combine the power of the top 100 words with your personalized words that you use all the time, that's when you start getting this powerful combination and get great results really quickly. So the next one we're going to talk about is why and accountability. Now, a lot of people say this should be number one. They say, you should have your why first. Simon Sinek and people like that. And it's true, but I wanted to give you some quick wins first in the other videos. So accountability and why is really important. You have to know why you're learning the language. If you know why, boom, you can go there. If you don't know why and you're thinking, just because it's fun, in 5 years' time, you won't really get very far. Now, this is where a great teacher comes into play, because if you've got a great teacher, they will keep you accountable. You don't want to let them down. Now, if they're a wussy, horrible teacher who just says, yeah, whatever, then, dump them. Get a great teacher who's going to keep you accountable, strict, but not too strict. And also remember, a great teacher will give you feedback as well, which is something the apps can't do yet. Now, can you do this on your own? Can you learn a language on your own? Well, yes, you can. The apps and the instant media and all this input and stuff. The challenge is getting the output checked and this accountability. So if you can get a great teacher or a language partner who can help you with that, that's cool. But it's easier with a great teacher, and make sure they're a really good one. Now, this next tip is go overboard with the accent. Okay, I'm going to get slaughtered for this. I might have to take this video down for this one, but this is where you, for example, if you're learning a foreign language, let's say you're learning Italian, and what you do is you say the target sentence in English first, like, I'm going to the cinema. And then you would say it with the target language in a totally over-the-top crazy accent. So in a crazy Italian accent, like, I'm going to the cinema. That's something stupid. English with the crazy accent. And then when you actually say it in the local language, vado al cinema, then it sounds a lot better. It's still not there. It still sounds weird, but it's a lot better than coming out with a very vado al cinema or something very English, which sounds stupid, yeah? Or like in Japanese, if you're saying, a lot of people say, watashi wa Richardo desu in a very English accent, it sounds stupid. But if you try and say it in a Japanese accent, it's like, hai, Richardo desu, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Really go overboard with the accent. Mo nani shiten da yo, mo ja. Those sort of going overboard with the accent makes a big difference. It also helps as well if you've got a sort of a personality or someone you can think of when you're trying to do this overboard accent thing. I struggled for a long time with Korean until I saw Lost, and then there. For example, with Russian, whenever I speak Russian, I always sound like a bodyguard, like a border guard from like Call of Duty or something. It's like, "Почему интернет не работает?" It's like, Yeah, but go overboard with the accent. You sound stupid, but it still sounds better than trying to speak with a silly English or American accent. Okay, next tip is, let's get back to less controversial, is body language. Get the body language right. If you're learning Japanese, it's very sort of, bowing and everything like that, body language right. With Italian, it's using your hands all the time. With French, it's like, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire? It's all like, the body language type things. Your body language is 55% of language. So this is where YouTube comes in, watching real videos, watching movies. Learn the body language, learn to move like your target audience. And also get the tone of voice right. It's 33% or 38% of language, apparently. So, for example, again, Japanese, in the textbook, they will teach you to say, tanoshii desu yo ne, kore wa kyou wa kore shimasu, kino wa. And it's like, nobody talks like that. In Japanese, it's like, kore mechi oishii da! Mo tabete, hora! If you can get that type of intonation in there as well, it makes a big difference when you're speaking foreign languages. Good, okay. And the final one of this section is, remember, it's easy. We're not learning quantum mechanics. I was doing quantum mechanics in French at a French university. That's hard, but the hard part wasn't the French. The hard part was the quantum mechanics, okay? So remember, it's just a foreign language. What we always say is to people, there are lots of stupid people around the world. They speak their own language fluently. So you're smart. You're watching this video, you'll be able to learn any language you put your mind to if you follow some of these tips. And schedule your time now, and do what you love in the language. If you love music production, do music production in the language. If you love soccer, do soccer in the target language. If you love cooking, do cooking in the target language. There's no point you learning, advanced algebra or the latest accounting regulations or something if it's not your thing. Do your thing in the target language. So we talked about the 2 myths, 9 steps, and I'm going to give you 7 quick wins to put into place tomorrow to improve or to start your language learning journey. So first thing is, write the time of day in your diary. When are you going to do this? Don't leave it to luck. Don't leave it to chance. Schedule it. Say, boom, 9:30 every morning. I'm going to do 20 minutes or an hour, whatever it is, of the target language. Put it in the diary. The next one is get all the apps. There are tons of apps. They're amazing. Some of them are bad, but on balance, you'll be learning from different ways and you'll hear the different sentences in different ways. They'll intersect and they'll cross over. Just get all the ones and find out which ones flow with how you like to learn. Follow TikTok and Instagram as of your hobbies in the target language. If you're into fashion stuff, and you want to learn French, you follow the French fashion Instagrammers and TikTokers. Make your feed only in your target language. So whenever you go to Instagram and TikTok, the apps will do their best to get you addicted and to keep you staying on that channel forever and ever and ever, yeah? So use that addictive nature to learn the foreign language. But if you put a few English ones in there, it'll sort of spoil it, yeah? So keep it your target language only for the people you follow on Instagram and TikTok, or whatever social media you happen to be into. Make a list of the top 100 most popular words. Do that now. Just like Santa Claus does. Find out what the most popular 100 words are in your language and your target language and learn them. Put them at the top of your list. A video journal every day. Get your phone. And the cool thing about this is it's spoken language. It's your real language. If your teacher's maybe not very good, it helps them give some structure to know what you want to learn. And also it's a great record because you can look back and say, blimey, was I really that bad? And you compare it with how you are now and you go, I'm not too bad. When you start getting the imposter syndrome and you're thinking, do I really speak this language? You can look at the video and say, well, actually, look how far I've come. You'll also see how you plateau and all this other stuff as well. But video journal every day. You've got the technology in your pocket. Use it. You might as well. You've paid a lot of money for your phone. Get the most out of it, Get a language teacher, a great teacher if you can, or a language exchange partner. You can do this on your own, but it's much better if you have a human to keep you accountable. And a great teacher will also give you feedback when you make all these mistakes. Like I remember in French, we were doing laser experiments and trying to figure out the difference between au-dessus and au-dessous, which I still can't do. Above and below, au-dessus, au-dessous. I can't remember it. But anyway, Trying to figure out that it's impossible on your own. You need a great teacher to give you the feedback, see if you've got it right or not. And finally, enjoy it. You know, we're learning languages so we can explore more of the world. We can talk to more people. We can learn new things. We can have new experiences and really appreciate the amazing place that we're lucky enough to be born on, this planet. Yeah. So, you know, enjoy it. Smile, laugh. If you find it's too much hard work, there's probably a way around it. You know, I used to spend hours and hours writing out hundreds and hundreds of kanji when I was learning Japanese. And you don't need to do that anymore. You just use a computer. And as long as you can read it right, you can write it right. And use your time wisely. We've only got 100 years, or maybe a bit more for the girls out there. And you've got to be able to use that time wisely so that you can get the most enjoyment and the most improvement in the skill sets you've got. So I'm Richard from Genki English. You can check me out on Instagram or on Facebook or on the websites. Good luck with your languages, and I look forward to hearing some of your results. And if you've got questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.